Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us today for the MSP Solutions Summit, sponsored by Ingram Micro's Emerging Business Group. My name is Debbie Shaw, and I'm in business development here within the EBG group. Our initiative is to onboard new vendors that play in new, fast-growing markets and have a strong, successful channel program. Your partnership with Ingram's Emerging Business Group can help you bring unique value to your clients while increasing your sales and your profitability. During this MSP Solutions Summit, you will learn about innovative solutions so you can significantly grow your business and create recurring revenue streams. You will learn about critical solutions your customers need to protect their data and to minimize their risk. And you'll also learn how to drive new business and discover how major industry trends are impacting your customers and their data. This MSP Summit is an enormous power play for you to learn how to significantly grow your business in leading areas, including data center, edge computing, cloud, and cybersecurity. And as an added bonus, you'll get the opportunity to win up to $500 during the virtual horse racing event. In terms of general housekeeping, the lines have all been muted. And if you have questions, please feel to type them in the Q&A in the box on your screen. This Solution Summit will last approximately 3 hours, and each vendor will be presenting 15 minutes. When the race starts, all your lines will be unmuted so you can cheer one another on. And now we're off to the races with Carl Connolly, Senior Advisor of Technology at Ingram, to present what makes a successful MSP. Carl?
Thank you so much, Debbie, and hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. You're very welcome to Ingram Micro's Emerging Business Unit MSP Summit. My name, as I said, is Carl Connolly. I'm the Chief Technologist for Enterprise Accounts inside of Ingram Micro. And I would say I'm very reliant and work very closely with our Emerging Business Group. The Emerging Business Group has developed an amazing portfolio of products and services that are helping our partners be more strategic, more competitive, more profitable, and delivering to you at your fingertips the technology you need to help your end customers. You know, as I was thinking about today, I thought this year is a great year to be an MSP. Especially if you look at what just happened in the previous year, many organizations realized that if they hadn't gone down a digital transformation journey or had a digital transformation strategy in place, they found themselves in hot water. They didn't have the resiliency they needed. And therefore, despite the fact that last year was terrible, I think many organizations have realized that they absolutely need to engage with an MSP to develop that strategy. That strategy is going to give them the resiliency they need. But in order to be resilient today, you need a technology footprint that is not only on-prem, on their premise, most likely it has edge pieces, most likely it involves colo, and certainly involves cloud. And while that affords an organization the agility, the speed, the time to market, the security perhaps that they need, it certainly injects a lot of complexity. And that's why I say today there's never been a better time to be an MSP, because you are the glue that keeps your partner's business or your customer's business together. So when I was thinking about today and how I wanted to introduce you to some of the amazing vendors in our portfolio, our EBG portfolio, I thought about giving you some examples on some of the trends that we're seeing. So as I mentioned, I sit inside the Enterprise Business Group, which is larger accounts, but typically what we see cascades down into the other organizations. And so let's kick this off with the most obvious one, and that's cloud adoption. Clearly, cloud adoption continues to grow. But what's really interesting about cloud as it continues to grow is the definition of cloud. It continues to expand. And that means organizations are embracing technologies that are on-prem or private clouds, at the edge, or in the hyperscaler clouds, and lots of different SaaS providers. What we see as well typically, and I can tell you that most of the enterprise accounts that I'm involved with and the accounts that I get pulled into, their cloud footprint really reads like a Gartner or a Forrester multi-cloud report. So inside of our group, we use our BI to essentially help our partners peer into their end customers' IT footprint. So it reveals the services and the products that they're consuming. And I can tell you, in no uncertain terms, I see a huge amount of AWS, a huge amount of Azure, GCP, Oracle Cloud, IBM Cloud, VMware Cloud, you name it, and the SaaS providers. But what's increasingly becoming more prevalent is the adoption of containers. So obviously VMware and virtual machines are everywhere, but most organizations now, as we see, are trying to embed that resiliency. And the best way to do that is to take monolithic applications, break them apart, leverage containers, Kubernetes, serverless functions, and the mesh networks that bring them together. So if you think about that, the goal is resiliency. The goal is to be able to keep your business available. And I would argue now with these container strategies, it's giving our MSPs lots of new opportunities to secure those containers, to provide high availability to them, to back them up, to manage and orchestrate them, and more importantly, to keep track of them and reduce costs. And for that reason, I wanted to introduce you in brief to one of the first vendors today, which is Morpheus. Morpheus is a great technology, and if you're not familiar with it, you will be today. Morpheus enables partners such as yourself to break down the silos that are happening inside of your end customers' environments. The reason that cloud teams are forming silos is because now line of business owners can basically swipe a credit card and get the services that they need without communicating to IT, without communicating to the different other business groups. And that means you're getting a lot of sprawl. And that's a challenge for organizations. It's sort of introducing some of the old legacy silos that we're very familiar with in the data center, right? The server group doesn't talk to the network group, and the network group doesn't talk to the storage group, and the virtualization group, everybody hates them. So in the new world with the adoption of cloud, getting visibility across clouds, whether they're on-prem, at the edge, or in the hyperscalers, or in containerized workloads is incredibly important, and therefore you should definitely pay attention to Morpheus. It enables you to basically provide your customers with a single pane of glass to see across all of their cloud footprint, to manage container clusters, and to also contain cost, which is really important. So you're getting that visibility, you're injecting control, and you're taming the wild west of cloud. Now, as we talk about cloud, I said the definition of cloud continues to change, and that's 100% true. Not a day doesn't go by that I hear about one story versus the next, and someone has a different definition. Most partners or most customers think about cloud, they think about the hyperscalers. But as you well know, most applications, or many applications, don't belong in the hyperscalers. And yet the customer wants to do a lift and a shift into cloud. And that's why if you want to offer cloud services, you need to broaden your portfolio, and that's what the EBG enables. And so one of the other partners that I wanted to mention today is Zadara. This is a great technology that we just onboarded, and I can tell you in all honesty, I'm engaged with them very heavily at lots of different accounts because they offer choice. If your customer wants to employ cloud services and they have an application that has so many dependencies that putting into a hyperscaler doesn't make sense, but they're absolutely determined to go cloud first, then look at Zadara. It will give you the ability to stand up a cloud, private cloud, on the customer's premise, at the edge, in a colo, or in the hyperscaler itself. They have deployments in over 300 data centers worldwide. It's 100% OpEx, which is fantastic because that's the way customers are looking to consume their IT today. They want to consume IT just like electricity or water, right? Pay for only what they use. And especially if the economy downturns like last year, they don't want to find themselves in a situation where they can't actually retract. And Zadara offers elasticity, which is a very important attribute. It has all the features that you would expect from an enterprise solution. It's 100% managed, a great team, very engineering focused, and they've actually been put through their paces with some of our partners who are very challenging and have come out trumps. Great team to work with and a great alternative for you. So that's Zadara. I would say too that in 2021, when we look at the macro trends, one of the biggest trends that I'm hearing about, and it's constantly coming up in our conversations, and so much so that we're actually developing a strategy around it, is the edge. And what is the edge? Lots of people have different definitions. My definition is really just putting infrastructure out where the data is created, out where the demand is. Why? Because organizations need real-time feedback. They can't tolerate latency or backhaul connectivity to a cloud waiting to process the data. They need to process that in real time. And therefore, as we look at the edge, we think about the types of infrastructure that needs to go out there. Oftentimes, there's not the physical infrastructure, such as a data center. So you might want to contemplate adding hyper-converged infrastructure to your portfolio. Hyper-converged obviously is the consolidation of traditional three-tier infrastructure into a very small form factor, often called an appliance, with built-in intelligence. Compute heavy, so it can process those workloads at the edge and eliminate the latency penalty. One of the great vendors you'll hear today is Scale Computing, who have a portfolio of amazing hyper-converged, which is really, really attractive at the edge. Now, I also want to introduce you to a technology that I think is amazing. It's really cool. It shows really great. Customers are really interested in it because they get it straight away. And that's through a company that we've recently onboarded called SmartPoint. And what SmartPoint are essentially doing are transforming the traditional street furniture, things like bush shelters, right? They are basically delivering in a bush shelter a edge data center. So they have in a chassis a graphical interface that can display information that can be used for things like facial recognition, that could be used for delivering content. But more importantly, inside the chassis, inside a climate-controlled area above the screen, is the ability to put hyper-converged, to put compute, to put storage, to put network, and perhaps to deploy radio access network. We're hearing a lot about that. Millimeter wave obviously is the next big thing for 5G, but it has some issues. It has some issues with respect to obstacles in metro areas. So if you can transform legacy street furniture like a kiosk and make it an edge data center, that just sells itself. It's amazing. It's transformational. Talking about transformational, one of the technologies that I wanted to introduce you to today, it's not necessarily on the docket, but it was brought in by EBG, is UiPath. And UiPath are the market leaders in robotics process automation. If you're not talking about automation in your customers, you absolutely should. Most organizations are looking to automate mundane, repetitive, boring, error-prone tasks that humans are doing and eliminate that by deploying robotics process automation. And UiPath is the market leader, and Ingram Micro is the global distributor of this technology. It's net new to the portfolio. However, we have had a UI practice builder for over 2 years. So if you're thinking about an engagement that needs automation, come to Ingram Micro, ask them about UiPath, and ask them about getting you on the path to delivering UiPath services. It's a great opportunity for you to perhaps to go into some of the organizations that have legacy applications that were written before there was APIs available. And with UiPath, you can essentially extract the data from disparate applications, consolidate it, and deliver that data in a meaningful way to the business. Very, very powerful, especially in finance or healthcare. Now, on the subject of healthcare, I have to give a shout out to a new partner that we've just onboarded through EBG called Pixel Health. We know many of our partners are transacting in healthcare today. Now, Pixel Health are bringing to Ingram an amazing service called the Ingram assessment. For those in healthcare, you'll probably be familiar with the HIMSS assessment, the adoption model, infrastructure adoption model. With Pixel Health's help, you can run the Ingram Plus assessment, which will help you then have very strategic conversations with your end customers about where they need to be, what technology they need to employ over the next 3 to 5 years to employ digital transformation and deliver really great services. What I really love about the Pixel Health team is their ability to introduce our partners to different entities into the healthcare organization that they may not typically have relations with, because they have on their staff business, technical, legal, and clinician healthcare specialists. And if you know healthcare, most of the decisions are being made at the clinical level, and being able to go in and have a conversation about the technology footprint that's based on an assessment that's an industry standard. Now with this new partner, it will speak volume and it will really help the bottom line. You know, today in 2021, being an MSP means not only learning and investing in technologies, but investing in partnerships. And this is just one of the ways that Ingram Micro is bringing like partners together. As I mentioned at the onset, the technology landscape is becoming incredibly diverse. Like I mentioned, when I run that BI report, I basically see every vendor under the sun at these enterprise accounts. And that's true for the mid-market, and it's becoming the same in SMB. And no one MSP can be a master of every domain. So take advantage of the Ingram Micro Link program, for example, and partner with other partners. Now, One of the things I want to talk to you today about as well with respect to transformation is that many organizations are looking to transform their network environment. Why? Because now your infrastructure is so disparate, cloud, core, edge, and everywhere in between, and they need the network that will keep up. And as your customers ask you about, what's next for network, should I, invest in Ethernet, wireline, or should I go to Wi-Fi 6? Maybe you'll want to broach the conversation with them and say, have you considered private 5G networks? Right? Private 5G networks are going to become, in my opinion, ubiquitous across the US in the next couple of years, where organizations will have control over their own cellular network. They'll be able to maintain cost, control capability, capacity, and be able to slice the network such that applications get the throughput and the quality of service and the SLA that they need. So Ingram Micro, the enterprise team, myself included, over the last year, we've been developing a strategy to help our partners understand the potential of 5G. It's a solution which we're going to be launching through EBG and other groups inside of Ingram to our partners, whereby you can invite your end customer into the Connect sessions hosted by Ingram in conjunction with yourself to basically champion all the benefits of 5G. We'll walk you through everything you need to know: the spectrum, the infrastructure, the assessments, the marketing, the business groups, and more importantly, the use cases, such that you can be seen as a trusted advisor in the eyes of your customer when they ask you about 5G. Lots of fact, lots of fiction out there. We want to help you separate the noise. And last but not least, the topic I want to introduce you today and touch on 3 of the great vendors that you're going to hear about more in detail in a minute is cybersecurity. Not a day doesn't go by that we hear about a breach or a hack or an attack. It's rampant. And unfortunately, the cyber criminals are becoming very astute. They're using the latest technologies, machine learning, artificial intelligence, for obvious reasons. They can get a very large payday, and they're unscrupulous. Even in the event that we were having a global pandemic, we were reading about hospitals who are trying to save people's lives, get attacked, and become victims of ransomware. And it's just atrocious. So I want to give a shout out to our security team, who works very closely with the EBG group to create an amazing portfolio of products for our customers, you, the MSP. And if you go to securitylinecard.com, you'll be able to see our full portfolio. But I want to touch on 3 today, because as I mentioned, one of the conversations that I typically hear when I talk to our partners about security is that they're struggling to keep up, because the threats are coming fast and furious. The technology out there is changing like the weather, and the threat landscape is just so diverse now, with rogue nation states even investing in attacks. And for our partners, they struggle a wee bit to keep up. And you should think about extending your bench or staff augmentation with some of the technologies and the vendors that we've onboarded and you'll hear about today. One of them is Arctic Wolf, a great technology that provides 24/7 detection and monitoring and incident response. And more importantly, it can help you sift through the noise by taking on the burden of alert management. Alert fatigue is huge in these organizations today, as you probably know. In the security space, that's your Achilles heel. It only takes one person to disregard one of the thousands, perhaps, of alerts that they're getting on an hourly basis for them to open the door to a hacker and run into problems. Now, I'll also talk about CrowdStrike. As you know, over the last couple of years, last year specifically, endpoints have ballooned as organizations need to support more and more remote workers and different endpoints, and therefore CrowdStrike is a great solution for you to do that. They can help you. It's a cloud-based service. They can help you deploy, manage, and run endpoint protection. And the last technology I'll mention is one that you're probably familiar with in the antivirus space, but they also have a great solution for ransomware, a complete set of security solutions, and that's our friends at Bitdefender. So you'll hear more about that later. So with that said, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to turn it back to Debbie. I did want to leave you with one thing that kind of bothers me a wee bit, and that's what, when I talk to my partners, I hear this all the time. It's like, yes, Ingram Micro, we know and we use you for order fulfillment and logistics. And we hear that all the time. I want you to know, as an MSP, that Ingram Micro is staffed with great people, great products, great services, great solutions that come to work every day with one thing in mind: how can we help our partners do more? So on your next engagement, if you have an issue, or if you want a second set of eyes, or if you want a new line of solution, don't hesitate to reach out to your Ingram Micro partner. We're so much more than just order and fulfillment. And my hat's off to the EBG group. They continue to develop their portfolio and offer next generation technologies to our partners. With that, I'll turn it back to Debbie. Listen, have a great conference. Thanks so much for the opportunity to speak for you. Jimmy's put my name or my email in the chat. If you want to follow up on anything I've talked about in more detail, hit me up. I'll be happy to do it. Have a great conference, everyone.
Perfect. Thanks, Carl. Greatly appreciate your presentation on what makes a successful MSP. I'd now like to introduce Farouk Herfat, who's Director of MSSP Sales and Business Development at CrowdStrike. Farouk?
Thank you very much, Debbie, and thank you, Carl. Great presentation. Hi, everyone. We are very excited to be partnered with Ingram Micro to provide cloud-delivered security for MSPs. At CrowdStrike, we are laser focused on stopping breaches, and I'm here to share with you how CrowdStrike and Ingram Micro can enable you as an MSP to stop breaches for your customers so that your customers can go about their business with complete confidence. MSPs and their customers, large and small, count on CrowdStrike for their cybersecurity needs. This includes 44 of the Fortune 100 companies, as well as top global companies, banks, and healthcare providers. As an MSP, you can be confident that you're leveraging the world's leading endpoint protection solution to provide the reassurance that your customers need. Now let's look at some of the common challenges that MSPs tackle using CrowdStrike. If we look at the cybersecurity space, we'll see that attacks are becoming more sophisticated. This leads to longer investigation times, more alerts to triage, alerts with minimal visibility. And a lot of MSPs are relegated to using multiple point solutions, and they also have to deal with limited threat hunting resources. If we just double click on the attack sophistication, we see that over half of the attacks are malware free, whereas maybe a couple of decades ago, the majority of the attacks were file-based attacks, malware attacks. Now we're seeing things like hands-on keyboard attacks. We're seeing very sophisticated insider threat, credential theft, social engineering, right? And these are types of attacks that are being funded and orchestrated by not just small hacking organizations or groups, but with terrorists, hacktivists, and they're being funded sometimes by nation states. So the complexity is very, very deep, and it's a matter of getting in front of these attacks. As an MSP, you're faced with the challenge of containing the breakout time. As you look at how an attacker sets into a customer's environment and they start executing, moving laterally across that environment, it's really a matter of being first and being effective in stopping these types of attacks. And in terms of putting some definition around that, right, what we see in this space is that it's critical for an MSP to be able to detect an attack in 1 minute, to investigate that attack in 10 minutes, and to be able to respond and remediate to that attack in 60 minutes. If an MSP were to go beyond this time frame, it really gives the adversary, the attacker, time to expand and to live off the land, as they say. So then let's take a look at how CrowdStrike's Falcon platform enables MSPs to address these challenges and to provide the best level of security against these types of modern, sophisticated attacks. One of the ways in which CrowdStrike does that is by aggregating detections using a multi-tenant environment and allowing your team to simply and effectively define, configure, and roll out policies across your customers' environments. This provides you with unrivaled visibility, and we'll dig into what that exactly means. And you can also use our robust APIs, a partner ecosystem, to connect with other products in your environment. On top of that, we provide aggregate pricing, so the more licenses that you have, the better pricing you will receive, and the better margins you will have for your business. We have distinct bundles that were tailored specifically for MSPs. I will go deeper into each of the products that are part of these bundles, The MSSP Protect is comprised of Falcon Prevent, CrowdStrike's next-gen antivirus solution, and Control and Respond. MSSP Defend adds CrowdStrike's Falcon Insight, that's the EDR product, and the Advanced Defend adds Falcon Overwatch. So let's take a closer look at what these modules provide. The Falcon Prevent, as I mentioned, is the next-gen AV product. It provides protection for online and offline devices. These can be devices that are running on Mac, on Windows, or on Linux, or also mobile devices. Ultra low overhead in terms of resources used, a very lightweight agent that works across any operating system and allows you to rapidly deploy into your customer's environment. The Insight product, the module, enables EDR capability. That enables your team to identify things like hands-on keyboard, any kind of non-file-based or malware-based attacks can be identified and prevented using the Falcon Insight product to provide really the high level of efficiency and to meet those timeframes we were talking about before, so that you can get ahead of an attack and prevent the adversary, the bad guys, from living off the land and living off of your customers' assets and resources. The Falcon Overwatch is a proactive threat hunting solution that works at scale using custom tools that works in conjunction with your security team. So this is a great way for your security team to augment CrowdStrike's resources and staff to get ahead of things, especially like zero-day attacks, things that have not been seen in a while before, but CrowdStrike's team has the resources and the tools to be able to identify such types of attacks. All of these modules, the entire platform is built upon our threat graph, and this is quite an impressive feat here. If you kind of look at the numbers, you'll see that right now we are looking at 135 million indicators of attack decisions per minute, and processing over 4 trillion events per week. Just to put that into perspective, Twitter has something around like 2 trillion tweets per year, right? So this is an immense amount of event data, malicious event data that we crowdsource and then we can use to analyze effectively to get ahead and prevent breaches using these sophisticated attack types. Digging deeper into the multi-tenancy capability. So all the modules that I just shared with you, as well as a threat graph platform, is all accessible to you using a multi-tenant architecture. So this allows your team to easily and efficiently investigate all types of attacks and alerts in your customers' environments. It allows them to simplicity of management of these types of attacks, as well as providing you the ability to be more effective and have more immediate time to value for stopping these types of attacks and for threat hunting. I'm going to dig into these particular capabilities here on the next few slides, and actually, lay out a day in the life of an MSP. So the first thing that would happen is your team would use our automated self-provisioning capabilities to provision a child tenant that's attached to your MSP parent tenant, and this is done automatically using our provisioning form. Once that's done, then your team will be able to quickly and easily deploy our lightweight agents across your customers' assets, their endpoints. Again, regardless of the operating system, whether it's a device or a workstation or a mobile device, the same Falcon agent will be able to work on those devices and prevent attacks. The steps are as follows. First, your team will install the Falcon agent off of that customer's tenant. Then the team can remove any legacy products and then verify installation. The cool thing with all this is that it requires no reboots, no signature updates, no scans, no fine tuning. We really see just an incredible rate of deployment, efficiency of deployment. I've seen environments that have deployed tens of thousands of endpoints in a matter of a week time frame. So really efficiency scale that they can allow you to protect your customers immediately and do so across all types of environments. Now, once those agents are deployed, then your team can use one dashboard to triage and manage all detections, all alerts, and for those customer environments or devices which may have some malicious activity or are on the verge of being breached, your team can network contain those remotely and remediate remotely. So all of this, again, I emphasize, is done in one multi-tenant dashboard. Basically, you will log into your parent MSP environment, and you would then switch into one of the customer tenants and be able to quickly do all of these tasks. Here are a few screenshots of the alert aggregation detections, aggregated detections. As you can see, you can use one pane to sort and filter through the different alerts across your customers' environments. You can do that by timestamp, various different filters, or you can actually dig into our process tree based on the executable type, in this case it being the PowerShell executable. We also provide very simplified and effective policy management. So again, all of this is catered towards providing you with the highest level of operational efficiency. That's less time that your analysts are sitting there configuring policies one by one on a customer's environment. Less time that they have to dig through and try to investigate different types of attacks or events, malicious events, using different tools, all done in one platform, in one UI, multi-tenant environment, and allows you to get ahead of any potential attacks in your customer's environment. So with the policies, these are policies that can be set at the tenant level. They'll be propagated down to all of your customer events. If you want to have a customer with a specific local policy, that can also be done. So you can do granular policies at per customer level, or you can have it set at the parent level and flow down to all of your clients' environments. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Overwatch component. We see quite a lot of MSPs leverage this particular component to augment their existing security team. And I just want to emphasize here that our Overwatch team and all of the tools and the threat intelligence information, all the special information that they have available to them is made directly available to you. So they will be communicating with your security team, with your SOC team, to help you remediate and contain any potential attacks, especially zero-day attacks in the wild that have not been seen before, using their custom tools. It's a great way to boost your team and again provide better efficiency in terms of your managed service offering. So to conclude, CrowdStrike for MSPs, my team and I, we are here to help you provide the highest level of protection for your customers, to increase your operational efficiencies. You can do more, you can handle more clients with less resources, and to become more competitive in the MSSP market so that you can make more margins, increase your footprint. At the end of the day, we're all working together here to protect our customers from breaches and to help our mutual customers, focus on their business and improving their personal and professional lives. So with that, thank you all for your time, and I will turn it over to Debbie.
Thank you, Farouk. Greatly appreciate your time and your presentation. I'd like to now introduce Ali Jo Boyd, MSP Channel Account Manager at Arctic Wolf. Ali, take it away. And Ali, you may need to unmute your line.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thanks everyone for your time today. I'm Allie Joe, the MSP Channel Account Manager here at Arctic Wolf, and my goal is to be working with our top MSP partners to make you successful as a partner of Arctic Wolf. And ultimately, at Arctic Wolf, our goal is to partner with you to end cyber risk. So today, my plan is to dive into the Arctic Wolf MSP Partner Program. What's in it for you, give you a brief intro into the platform. I don't plan to go too deep today, but if you're ever interested in learning more, we're more than happy to get that set up, and then talk about what it looks like to get started. So at Arctic Wolf, we do have a MSP specific business unit. So our program is really here to enable you to deliver industry-leading cybersecurity solutions as part of your current service offerings. We're here to collaborate with you to provide the resources and the support you need to recognize that recurring revenue and grow your business with a trusted security advisor. Arctic Wolf was founded in 2012. We are the leader in the industry. We're doubling our revenue year over year, and now have nearing 900 employees at Arctic Wolf, and 300 in which are focused on our security team. We are here to be that trusted provider to you, help you be a trusted cybersecurity advisor to your clients without having to go out and do this on your own, provide profitable offerings, and most importantly, we're 100% channel. So we're a partner-centric organization from the top down. We're selective about our partnerships in the way that when we go to market, we're all in making sure it's a true, mutually beneficial partnership. We have a dedicated and engaged channel sales team, a sales team to go to market with you, marketing, and even on the back end, I'll talk through the concierge security team we're providing. So know that we have the best-in-class offerings and solutions to really expand and grow your security practice with Arctic Wolf. So I'd like to talk through just a few key differentiators with Arctic Wolf, but ultimately we believe that cybersecurity has an effectiveness problem. There's a ton of products in the market today, a lack of security talent, and we're still seeing a number of breaches. So we've really taken the operational approach to security. So number one, our goal is to leverage your existing technology stack to gain that broad visibility across the endpoint, the network, the cloud. We want to see everything. I really like to think of it as a puzzle. The more pieces of security information you can send our way, the better. Next, and most importantly, we are vendor neutral, so we work with the tools you already have. So there's no need to rip and replace. We can work with a number of the providers you are already working with through Ingram, who are already a part of your stack. We have a seamless integration with those providers. Second, we centralize all of that data into our cloud-native security analytics platform for storage, enrichment, and analysis. And so with Arctic Wolf, we do own all of our own technology built from the ground up. We're not relying on any third-party tools or systems. We're relying on our own proprietary technology to stream that information from your environment, from our sensors, our scanners, our agents, enrich it with our ever-increasing threat intelligence engines, and store that to drive security outcomes. Our platform is based on unlimited data, so the more information you can send our way, the better. We're not going to charge you based on volume, events per second, making our pricing very predictable. And then third, and most importantly, we build solutions on this platform that are delivered by assigned concierge security experts. They're true security experts named to you as a partner and to your customers that get to know you and your business very well to drive the security optimization over time. They're going to be working with you on a tactical day-to-day items, but also ensuring that we're getting better over time. Because as you know, security is a journey and not a destination. And I'd say that's one of the most important things with our service is we're providing you that true security talent. Now we have 3 service offerings that we're providing here today. One, managed detection response. really the purpose of the MDR is to help you protect against any of those advanced threats that may bypass those existing prevention tools you have in place. We fundamentally believe you can't have protection without detection first. So we're going to be providing that 24/7, 365 coverage and guided response. You know, when Arctic Wolf calls, it's important to pick up the phone. We also have managed cloud offerings, managed cloud monitoring that takes our capabilities to the cloud, Office 365, AWS, Azure, G Suite, you name it. We're also monitoring for any attacks and compromises in progress, misconfigurations. And as you can see at the bottom, 47% of the incidents we detect at Arctic Wolf do include a cloud component. And third is our managed risk offering. It's really important to be detecting and responding to threats, but it's also important to really reduce the likelihood of an event occurring in the first place. So managed risk is to help you prevent those incidents from happening in the first place. We're providing you continuous internal, external, and host-based vulnerability scanning as a service delivered by that concierge security team. So making sure that we're covering all the gaps and holes in the environment as possible, making it harder for the bad actors to enter your environment. So high level, these are the three core service offerings we provide here at Arctic Wolf. We'd love to dive deeper with you. But ultimately, with these service offerings, these are the challenges we're going to be working with you and your customers to help solve. It's just a short list. I know the list goes on, but number one, help you meet that ethical and legal obligation to your clients, business continuity, make sure that you're not going down due to a ransomware attack or any security compromises. Moving cloud applications and remote workers is a huge a point of exposure today. We're here to help monitor those cloud accounts and remote employees, as well as help you respond to client requests and questionnaires and the ongoing list of cybersecurity obligations. Our top verticals here at Arctic Wolf today, of course, are manufacturing, CMMC, healthcare, HIPAA, financial, legal, and anyone with additional, PCI requirements. So we're going to help check a ton of those boxes when it comes to compliance. And you don't have to take it all from me. Here's one of our top customers, a hospital. And they said that Arctic Wolf helps us overcome huge challenges. Getting clear visibility across our infrastructure was a worrisome issue until we engaged Arctic Wolf. Locating, training, and retaining cybersecurity talent was really hard for them. And we provide that with the concierge security team, as well as help them meet those compliance obligations. So when it comes to our MSP program, we're here to help you build out a comprehensive security program. I myself have been here with Arctic Wolf for 4 years, and a bulk of my time has been spent with our MSP partners. So my goal is to sit down with you, help identify what you're doing today when it comes to your security offering. We're here to be that leader in security operations and provide what you see on the left, MDR, managed risk, cloud monitoring, but then build out a full, meaningful package to go to market and integrate our stories together. As I mentioned, pricing is simple and predictable. We do have minimums to our program. The MSP minimums at the top are listed. So it's a low barrier to entry for your clients, and then scales from there. But what we're pricing on are these 4 components. All we care about is the attack surface, how many users are in the environment, how many physical and virtual servers, how many firewalls or locations do we need to place that scanner or sensor, and then what does the cloud look like? We don't care how much information you send our way, level of support, how much time you spend with the CST team. You're always going to get the 30-minute SLA for anything critical, ransomware, malware, corporate phishing, with our simple pricing. And again, we can help you build out a meaningful go-to-market when it comes to price as well. And so this is from one of our top MSP partners. They saw a 30% decrease in help desk and knock costs with clients who have Arctic Wolf in place. And so this is because we're really helping them be proactive and prioritize their customers' security needs. It's no-brainer for them to be providing every single client the Arctic Wolf solution, and they now include us in every roadmap conversation they have. So although we may be a bigger piece of the security pie, we're here to also help you and your help desk and NOC team be that much more efficient. So lastly, how do you get started? Getting started super easy. There's this checklist here we put together. It doesn't have to be completed in any specific order, but it's here to give you an idea of what we're taking our partners through out of the gate. We'll get the agreements in place along with the Ingram team. We have a really extensive Arctic Wolf partner portal that's complete with co-brandable documents, training modules, deal registration. And from there, we'll hold a fast start where we really use that time to sit down and learn about you and your business and what's important, and make sure that we have the training necessary, whether it's training your NOC team or your sales team. We want to make sure everyone knows the message and why we've partnered. Then from there, it's really identifying top targets to go to market with and talk about pricing, packaging, and other marketing opportunities. We're always getting creative when it comes to co-marketing, events, webinars, campaigns, you name it, we have those resources. We have a phenomenal marketing team here at Arctic Wolf to assist you as well. And then there, I'd also note that our top partners are using us internally. And so if you're interested in learning more about what that looks like to protect your own house first, I like to say drink your own champagne. It's more fun than eat your own dog food. We can talk about what that looks like and how you can get a better feel for this service in the back end and the reporting and that concierge security team. I also like to note that it is, there's no training requirements or minimums to be a partner of Arctic Wolf. So of course we want to get you trained. Of course we want to go to market together, but there's no requirements to be a partner that you need to make sure you're upholding. And so if you're interested in learning more, reach out to your Ingram EBG contact. As well as Vic Weisner. She's the dedicated distribution manager here at Arctic Wolf, working with the Ingram micro team. And then ask about our current incentives for partners to become a partner, as well as the opportunity to run Arctic Wolf internally. We're always doing fun promotions, as you can see a sneak peek to a solo stove there. Any questions?
If anybody does have questions, if you could type them in your chat box there, and we'll try to address that through the presentations. If not, they'll be forwarded to everybody at the conclusion of the event. Ali Jo, thank you so much. Great job with your presentation regarding Arctic Wolf. And now I'd like to introduce Samantha Sisk, North American Distribution Manager for Bitdefender. Samantha, take it away.
Thank you so much, Debbie. I sincerely appreciate it. And thank you so much to the Ingram team for hosting such a wonderful event. I think we can all really appreciate at least being able to get together virtually during this time, and really thank you to all who have joined. So my name is Samantha Sisk. I'm the North American Distribution Manager here. And I'm just going to first start talking off a little bit about who Bitdefender is, for those who might not be 100% familiar with what we do. So here at Bitdefender, our mission really is to help secure our partners and ultimately your customers from breaches and business disruptions. We've actually been around since 2001, so we're definitely not new to the space. We actually just celebrated our 18th birthday. We are really a tech-first company, so nearly half of our organization is actually tied to research and development. So really here at Bitdefender, our goal is to simplify security for you guys, make things really simple, keep everything consolidated in one console and one screen. Now, because we are a tech-first company, our labs are actually discovering over 400 new threats each minute and validating roughly about 30 billion queries daily. So we're really proud of all of our machine learning modules, which we've developed and have been increasing since 2008. Now, here at Bitdefender, about 150 of very well-known technology companies are actually using Bitdefender's scanning engines behind the scenes. And I think this is a really important validation point, being that we are such a tech-first organization, and also we have over 111 issued patents and 200 patent pending as well. Now, we're also trusted by very large key organizations and our partners worldwide. So these are just to name a few, but really, when it comes to any client sizes or verticals that you might be working in, we really have an awesome case study and story around that organization, whether you guys are working with smaller organizations, maybe with a few Microsoft systems, or if you guys are working with any sort of like heavily virtualization environment with 1,000+ VDI instances, we're really able to scale with you. We're also really proud of our technology alliance partnerships that we have. For instance, with Citrix and Microsoft, Nutanix, just to name a few. We're really happy about our basically one-click, one-touch deployment to once again simplify security and make things really easy for you guys. Now, I could sit here and tell you how great Bitdefender is, but I do also want to make sure to validate some of our latest awards that we have won in this space with a lot of the independent testing agencies like AV Comparatives and AV Test. We were actually the only cybersecurity vendor to prevent all advanced threats in their latest study, and actually we've earned 4 AV Test Best Protection Awards in their latest 2020 awards. So when it comes to protection, or whether it be performance pain points that you guys might be having today with your current security vendors, we're really able to help those pain points with ease. And last but not least, we were also named a top player for our advanced persistent threat protection with Red Hat Group. Now, in terms of our portfolio, so you'll hear me say a few times, simplifying security. So everything that you see here and what we like to coin our Wheel of Fortune is able to manage in our Gravity Zone Management Architecture, which is a single console, single agent, multi-tenant capability. So everything you see over here in the middle is our Cloud Security for MSP product, which is going to be included in that base solution. So not only are you benefiting from over 30 layers of machine learning, behavioral analytics, AI technology in regards to basically how we prevent breaches, but also you're benefiting from things included like web filtering. So being able to protect your clients from any sort of malicious or fraudulent websites, device control, being able to block, let's say, malicious USB devices. We're also able to offer something really cool called endpoint risk analytics. And what that is, in a nutshell, is basically the ability to take a look at the environment and look at the indicators of compromise or indicators of risk and actually apply that client with a percentage score. So things like, for instance, one of your clients hasn't updated a password in a while. Basically ways that malware actors try to get in and breach environments, we're actually able to help strengthen that security assessment score. And that's going to be included. It's a really awesome dashboard that you can use as a sales tool when engaging with your clients. Now, outside this wheel are other core solutions that you're available to add on to that core element. Once again, I can't stress enough, in one console and one agent. It's all going to be a part of the exact same installation package, or the ability to reconfigure that installation package in the future. So we do also offer email security, so protection like for Office 365 or Gmail, for instance, full disk encryption, endpoint detection and response, or EDR, security for virtualized environments. We have that ability to offload scanning to a dedicated security server. We also have patch management as well as advanced threat security, which is hyper-detect, which is tunable machine learning, and then also a sandbox analyzer. So these are all available for you very simply from that one console, one agent, basically one-click deployment. And we also have that ability to really easily apply policies, whether it be at the company level or at the endpoint level. You always have the ability to clone policies, so it makes it really easy depending on who your client is and what their wants are to really make sure that you're configuring the right installation package as well as policy for their environment. Now, also keep in mind, we have automation through APIs through our Gravity Zone architecture and integration with all the major RMM and SIM tools, as well as compatible with all the major operating systems such as Windows, Linux, as well as Mac. Now, in regards to our partner program, so we have over 20,000 MSPs that we're working with, and really we're working with MSPs of all sizes. I know I mentioned it before, but we really have a great story around every partner type. So whether you're working with more mom and pop shops, whether you're working with SMBs or small to mid-sized enterprises or even large enterprises, we really have a great case study to help enable you. Now, regarding our partner program, once again, to validate that for you, we have won the CRN Partner Program Cloud Award for the past few years. So we're also extremely happy about that. And really, when it comes to working with Bitdefender, we're here to help not only simplify that security conversation, but basically streamline your sales and consolidate your resources and overhead into really one easy to use architecture. Now, down here at the bottom, you see just kind of a few of our partner case studies that they have provided to us. So I won't read them all, but just note that the partner onboarding process is extremely simple. Basically, it takes as long as it takes you to fill out an online form with just all of your basic company information. There are resources internally at Ingram Micro to help you with that journey, and really, at the end of the day, through the Ingram Cloud Marketplace, you're able to log in and basically purchase a zero-cost SKU that will allow you to provide to get access to our Gravity Zone architecture. Now, keep in mind, we do offer a free 45-day trial for all new partners that are looking to test out our offering. And once again, we're here to help support you with that. Now, in regards to your customers, so I know I mentioned this, but really we solve all the major security challenges. So whether it be the performance, there might have been a potential breach, or protection, excuse me, there might have been a potential breach or performance. So if there is any issue with system resources being bogged down, or even just a general ease of use for you guys, we're really able to help solve those security challenges and really across any vertical as well. So these are just to name a few, for instance, like healthcare, education, manufacturing. We also can provide, case studies, whether it be in legal or state and local government. I mean, you name it. And we also have a link to our case studies as well, readily available on bitdefender.com. Now, last but not least, in terms of resources, you have Christy Hakes on board at Ingram Micro, who is your dedicated Bitdefender Solutions Development Specialist and can provide further assistance when it comes to partner onboarding. We also have Stephen Albee, who is your dedicated Bitdefender Technical Account Manager, who's here to help support you with any questions as it relates to Gravity Zone, as well as a team of resources here at Bitdefender to help support you, including myself. You have Michael Reeves, who is our MSP sales engineer, who can provide additional assistance with walking you guys through Gravity Zone, as well as Todd when it comes to opportunities that we're working on. So I do sincerely appreciate everyone's time today, and I'm gonna go ahead and pass it back to Debbie.
Turn things over to Melanie Duvall, who is Senior Credit Manager at Ingram Micro and our Ingram Financing Options. Melanie, take it away.
Thank you. So as I mentioned, I am definitely not the technology person, so appreciate everybody taking the time as we talk about the financial perspective here at Ingram Micro. So, I remember when I started in the channel nearly 10 years ago, and I said to one of my IT friends, what exactly is a server and what does it do? As you guys can see from my screen sharing ability, that has not changed much over the time, but technology in and of itself has. If you look back over the past decade, technology has continued to evolve at a very rapid rate. As many of you heard Carl earlier, we know that Ingram Micro is leading the way on innovative technology solutions, looking at 5G, talking about some of our vendors today in our emerging businesses group. Not only has technology continued to change over the past decade, but the financials of our partners have continued to change over the past decade. You look at the traditional buy-sell model where customers were really focused on that one-time upfront sale. That's now shifted to more of that monthly recurring revenue, offering managed services and increasing the stickiness with your clients. From that financial standpoint, it also includes some upside and some challenges. So we've seen customers who've been able to increase their business valuations as they build their recurring revenue, but they've also had challenges from a cash flow standpoint because they're now recognizing that revenue over time. Ingram Micro can help you be able to leverage our balance sheet to be more successful as you build your managed services offering and continue to shift your business. In 2020, we were faced with a lot of different challenges. We adapted to businesses being closed, being able to shift and work remotely, what types of technologies were needed, and how did customers support that financially. In March of last year, our credit team reacted very quickly. We increased a lot of our partners' credit lines and increased their net terms to be able to give them the flexibility to support their clients. We didn't want one additional thing to hold our partners back from being able to deliver what their clients needed in their business. We waived fees on our lockbox solution so that you can go after and win larger opportunities and not even have your credit line hold you back. So as part of Ingram Micro, I'm just very proud of how our financial solutions have helped our customers win business, support their businesses, and continue to thrive. So as we talked a little bit about how technology has continued to shift and evolve, and how financials of our partners have continued to shift and evolve, now we need to talk about how you're changing that conversation with your end customer. So let's talk about credit, right? If you look at having a financial conversation, many people have a certain stigma that's been associated with that. People are afraid to talk about financials with their customers because they have a misconception that if they're bringing up the financial conversation, it's because their customers can't afford it. I can actually say that the opposite is true. In 2020, our leasing business grew exponentially. And it wasn't the customers who couldn't afford it. It wasn't the customers who had weak credit. It was the financially healthy end users who wanted to preserve the cash that they had on their balance sheet and their working capital lines and finance the technology that they needed. This fit their budget expenses and fit their cash flow. So it's important to really change that positioning of how we're talking to our customers about financials. As your team engages with your client, whether it's somebody who sits in the sales seat or in the technology enablement side, have them have the conversation with your client about what their long-term financial goals are. What is their 1 to 5 year strategy when they look at the financial health of their end customer? That's a very meaningful conversation because the technology that you're recommending to your customer has an impact on the overall financial health of the business. But by offering financial solutions to the table as you discuss that technology solution, you're showing your customer that you really value what's important to them. The worst thing that I ever want to hear is when a salesperson comes to the financial solutions team and says, oh, you know, the client had to downgrade the solution because they didn't have a budget. Change that mindset to be able to lead with a monthly payment for your customers, or at least have that conversation to understand what are their financial goals and not have to worry about the conversation being more of one where customers can't afford it. The value in technology, it's not in the ownership of that technology. The value of the technology is what it does for the business. It's not an appreciating asset. So being able to have that financial conversation as part of that technology conversation helps you really demonstrate your value as a managed services provider to your clients. So let me ask this. If you had $100,000 in your business, how would you spend it today? Probably don't want to spend it at the horse races like we were doing earlier, but think about it. If you have that dollar, whether it's sitting in cash in your budget or it's something that you're proposing to do you want to buy technology that's depreciating? Do you want to invest in infrastructure? No, you'd much rather, as a business owner, take that $100,000, be able to bring in a new business development associate, somebody who could grow the revenue exponentially. You can then cash flow any type of technology purchases that need to be made to support the business. But by changing that mindset to think about how else you and your clients could spend that technology budget can really help them be more powerful in their overall business. Help them design marketing campaigns, help, grow the business versus looking at those hard costs. One of the important lessons that we've learned in financing is that it has to be easy. This is what we do with our integrations with many of the popular CRM tools, including QuoteWorks, ConnectWise, and Salesforce. By leveraging the APIs, your team is able to build the quote as they would for the client, but they're able to lead with a payment option for the proposal that's being put in front of them. So you're not waiting until the tail end of the proposal to be able to say, are you all set to write a check for that for net 30 terms? You're able to present very early in the sales cycle, monthly payment options, annual payment options, to at least plant the seed with your customer. It's a way to provide value to them as opposed to having them be reactionary. How many of you have recently gone into a car dealership to go buy a car? And when you were, looking at that car, the salesperson said, well, leave, go to your bank, see if you can get financing, come back, and then maybe we can sell you that car. Everyone knows the finance people, they don't want to let you out of the car dealership. They want to be able to provide the vehicle, the financing, and do it all in a one-stop shop. That's what we're trying to help our partners do with leveraging integrations and more streamlined practices as part of your business to proactively lead with financing solutions. I know there's some of you today on the call who have been using our Ingram Micro flexible payment solutions, and you've been able to see the value that that brings to your business. Our goal is to help our MSPs be able to incorporate this as part of your day-to-day business. So doing the training for your sales team, helping you improve your marketing around presenting these offerings to your customers are going to be key with the adoption in your overall business. One of the key things I heard from a partner last year, we were interviewing him to do a podcast, and he said, Melanie, I had a deal in Q4. We were pretty sure it was going to push to Q1 because the client wasn't sure that they were going to have the budget to be able to support the solution. Our flexible payment solutions team was able to create an aggressive pricing structure and defer the payment for 90 days. And one of the things that Bill told us was that time kills all deals, and we were able to help him not let time waste away. He was able to pull that deal into Q4 and still give his customers the payments that they need. But don't think about financing in the traditional hardware sense. One of the key technology solutions that we finance as part of our offerings is actually software. Right? So when you think about delivering technology solutions to your customer, it's about the total technology solution, hardware, software, services, any type of upfront costs. We can also do the pass-through of any of those ongoing subscriptions so that your end customer only has to write one check for that total solution. In some cases, we can even do it as a private label solution. So it's going to lessen the barrier of having to introduce a third party when it comes to the financing. So think about total technology solutions and how you can deliver payments to your customers that fit their budget needs. One of the best parts of my career over the past 10 years has been able to design these new solutions for the channel. So when I sat in that credit seat and we talked to our partners and we understood, what does your AR look like? What does your monthly recurring revenue look like? We were able to talk through with our partners to understand where there's pain points in the channel and where they need our help to be able to move things forward. Every year we've been able to work to either enhance or build new solutions, and this year is no exception. So for 2021, we're going to be working with vendors like Zadara to be able to offer a commission advance program. So as you start to build your recurring revenue, it's very challenging to that cash flow where you used to recognize, say, a $200,000 sale all up front. You're recognizing that margin all up front. You're paying your salespeople all up front. In a recurring model, you're recognizing that over time. So yes, it does have very key implications to your overall business value, but from the day-to-day cash flow perspective, it adds some strains. So being able to do things like advance the commissions for that type of subscription consumption model can help you be able to make that transition from a traditional buy-sell model to building out your recurring revenue. We also have a solution for customers who want to be able to have more of that agent model. So if you're a heavy services organization, you may not want to recognize that lower margin hardware type of sale. In our agent model program, you're able to assign that end user PO to Ingram. We're going to take care of all the invoicing, collections, and end user credit risk. So we're looking at different ways to give our partner solutions on how to fit the traditional model as you convert to being an MSP, and also innovative ways to be able to offer different types of financing offers. So where will 2021 take you? Are you going to be bold enough to reach out to our team to understand how we can help you be able to bring channel financing to your customers? Think about that as you start to go through your strategic plan and lead with channel financing. We have seen time and time again, customers win by offering financing to their clients. Here are some additional resources to be able to look through for additional content, but the one thing that I would highly recommend is just reaching out to myself or my team. Everybody has different needs, and we want to be there to help support you as you build out solutions to make you successful for the years to come. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Melanie, for taking the time to talk to us about Ingram's financing options. I'd like to now introduce Steve Boak, Senior Director, Product and Solution Marketing at Zadara. Steve?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Let me bring the slides up. Can you guys see these all right?
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. Yes, thanks again for having me. Looking forward to chatting with you guys. Real quick, my name is Steve Boak. I'm the head of product marketing here at Zadara, and I want to walk you through kind of who we are, what we do, and a lot of the work we do with MSP partners just such as yourself. It's very much a focus of our business model, and I'll be talking through that. So thanks again for today. So basically, we are a managed cloud services solution provider, and I'll walk through the different kind of products that we offer in a minute. But basically, everything we do kind of follows these three main tenets that you see on this slide. Number one, it's fully featured offering on our compute and our storage side, and I'll get into a little more details on that in a minute. Our background, actually, we started about 10 years ago as a storage as a service provider, and recently we built upon that with compute. So our background is, solid storage background for enterprise customers with enterprise grade kind of performance and security. So I'll get into the features a little bit more in a minute. We are fully elastic. It's all consumption-based usage and pricing, so it's an operating expense. There's zero CapEx with what we do. That is our whole business model. And like I said, we are very focused on MSPs. The lion's share of our deployments to date are with MSPs across the globe. So that's our business model, which is very aligned to yours. And then the last thing is, it's fully managed by us. So as we'll talk about in a minute, the deployments may be in your colos or on your sites, but it's still all fully managed by Zadara, 24/7, 365 days a year. We handle all the software upgrades, hardware upgrades, things like that, all done on our behalf. And you, of course, and your customers don't have to worry about that. It's a fully managed service from Zadara. So those are the kind of three main tenets of what we do. And again, as I mentioned, we're 100% OpEx. As a business model. So yeah, so we have three kind of main key services. We refer to them as Z Compute, Z Network, and Z Storage. It is depending on the amount of storage you're looking at deployment, the amount of compute resources you think you're going to want to need as the basis or foundation for your own services that you offer your customers. We kind of figure out the best sizing to start with, and typically it's like half a rack. Could be a full rack again, depending on what you're looking to do. But it's all in the same rack. It's all, again, fully managed by Zadara. From the compute side, I'll get into a minute. Everything is compatible with AWS kind of models and deployments if your customers are kind of used to them, and I imagine they most likely are, as we'll talk about in a few minutes. But very similar kind of offering in terms of the VMs and block storage, which we'll talk about in a second. From the storage side, again, that's kind of been our bread and butter where we started. We are full unified solution. We offer block, file, and object storage. So very full featured. And again, I'll click down in that in just a minute. But that's kind of the basis of our offering today. And we're looking to kind of progress and grow from that into the future. But that's where we are right now in terms of our offering. Yeah, so as I mentioned a minute ago, been doing business again, starting with storage about 10 years ago, and in that time, we've got a pretty widespread footprint across the globe. So that's what this slide is showing. I think Carl earlier, when he did his keynote, mentioned our 300 clouds across all these 6 continents. This is what he was referring to. So you can see we've got a pretty good coverage model for the most part in terms of some of the key areas of the world. But one thing I will point out, though, is if you're familiar with some of the hyperscalers, the hyperscalers are not in all these locations. They have their different availability zones. They cover these areas, but they're not necessarily going to be that close to some of these different metropolitan areas. And then, therefore, because of that, the latencies involved with some of the transactions or workloads therein, depending on where you guys, your customer base is located, those availability zones from some of the different hyperscalers can be kind of limited in that the latencies will be higher, and that might not meet the needs of your customers' applications and workloads. But that's where we can become kind of quickly appealing because of this footprint. Again, if you look at just the U.S., you kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about in terms of the coverage we have there. So that's been our kind of storage background. Like I mentioned, it's about six or so months ago, we launched Compute, and we're in the process of kind of building out Compute amongst a lot of these sites as well. So we've got a big, huge global footprint. And as I mentioned earlier, the lion's share of this is really managed service providers such as yourself. There are a couple sites that are like, we do some on-premise stuff with large enterprise customers, but that's not kind of our focus. We're kind of moving away from that. We're all about managed service providers. And again, the lion's share on this slide are those folks such as yourself. And then, excuse me, in terms of some of the providers and partners we do business with today, you can see a list of them, or I should say a sampling of them on the right side. The other thing I want to make kind of clear too is we do have a number of key technology alliance partners that we work with. Probably the biggest one is Veeam. I'm not going to go too deep on that today, but we've done a lot with Veeam in terms of VCSPs, the Veeam cloud service providers. We have some Veeam qualification certifications here on the left, Veeam Ready Object and Immutability, Veeam Ready Object and Veeam Ready Repository. We've done a lot of business there too, and we see a lot of interest from MSPs and customers because there's a nice synergy between the Veeam offerings and our storage. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. But again, on the right, a lot of kind of big names. You may be familiar with some of these on this slide in terms of solution providers and co-location providers. So one thing I want to spend a couple minutes walking through is some of the kind of different customer contexts that come to us that we've seen and kind of the differentiation we offer versus maybe where they're coming from. So that first one I kind of alluded to a minute ago is this idea of maybe that you've got some customers that have been in the hyperscale or even the large public cloud, and for whatever reason, it's not working for them. I mentioned the kind of latency impacts a minute ago on the map slide. That could be one reason. If they're feeling like they're locked into that vendor for a certain reason, we don't have the same kind of lock-in implications. A little more consistent performance. One of the reasons is the locations we have and the lower latencies, depending on where your customers are located. That's one of them. Another thing from the pricing and cost perspective is that our pricing is pretty simple. We don't have a lot of charges in terms of egress and ingress. We don't have any of that stuff. It's really just based on the resource per hour in the case of compute, or per gigabyte in the case of storage. Pretty simple and straightforward, and therefore that makes it very predictable. A lot of people like us for that reason. And then the next one moving down is maybe they were a little untrusting of some of those big hyper clouds. Again, we have that kind of compatibility that they may want if they're coming from like an AWS. We have a very cloud-like experience. However, we are anywhere and everywhere, as I mentioned earlier. The next one is customers needing cloud services closer to the source of data. I kind of touched on that a couple times already, but that again, that idea is the lower latency with the higher performance. Because of all the different locations, chances are we'll be closer to where that customer's data or workload is located. I think Carl also in his keynote mentioned this idea, mentioned more of like an edge kind of a cloud services model, and that's absolutely something that we can provide and are looking to do. And the last one is customers trusting and depending on like their local MSP partners such as yourselves, meaning, hey, these customers have this existing relationship with you, they like you, they've got, you've been really working well with them, so why not be able to offer your customers more than what they currently have, or maybe a bigger footprint. So again, if that customer knows AWS, you could offer that with our services in terms of EC2 capabilities. I already mentioned our market-leading enterprise storage capabilities, and then again, the very predictable cost and pricing that not only you can reap from us, but your customers can reap as well. A much more simplified model, but again, still maintain that relationship with you, their local friendly MSP partner. So these are kind of some of the different use cases and how we address each one of those. Yeah, so very quickly, I'm not going too deep on the product side today, but I mentioned our history in storage. We have this idea or construct that we refer to as the virtual private storage array, the VPSA. It's multi-tenant. It uses kind of virtual resources amongst its controller. And again, you can be used for block, file, or even object workloads. And then we also have different media types to offer the different kind of performance levels customers want to see, whether it's more cost optimized hard drive, the more performance oriented solid state drives, or a combination therein, which is like that hybrid infrastructure. And in fact, we do something called auto tiering, which actually can automatically route the data to where it best should reside in terms of like how frequently accessed it is. So that's something we do on the media and storage side. So again, that's our storage offering. Really quickly, the compute offering we refer to as Z Compute. This is very similar, as I mentioned, to like an EC2 kind of thing if you're coming from an AWS background. But we have self-service compute provisioning, very easy to get kind of up and running and provision in our portal. And because of that, or the reason for that is we have these predefined, fully customizable instance type that you can kind of choose from a different menu based on what you think your kind of workload's going to look like. So that makes it pretty simple and straightforward. You can set up auto scale groups, network and application load balancing makes it very easy and appealing. We can do snapshots of that VPSA with the VMs. And then the last one is we have a standard block storage that we use for boot and the OS drive of the VMs. And of course, you can use our VPSA that I mentioned on the previous slide for the actual application data as well, all within the same cloud services construct with Zadara. And again, of course, it's pay per use, 100% OpEx, so it's consumption, pay only for what you use at any given time. So that's on the product side. Now moving over to working with folks such as yourselves and partners, like I said, we are all focused on MSPs really at this point. That is our business model. And like this slide says, we basically wake up every day thinking about how to grow your business. And what I mean by that is, as we onboard our different partners, not only do we have like a 30, 60, 90 onboarding plan to help them get up to speed, it's very much in our interest that we grow your customer base as well, right? And so that's what this slide is trying to show. This is one partner example we had where in the span of 18 months, as you see as the slide goes from left to right, we've grew that kind of partners monthly recurring revenue up to 174K. That's a monthly recurring revenue number by adding more customers. And again, the way we do that, and I'll talk about that in a minute, is our kind of partnership and partner program model that we have. So we have a partner portal that we've set up that provides all sorts of resources for you, whether it's email scripts for prospecting, use case information, some of the slides that we kind of train and walk through with you, our like white paper solution brief, all the marketing kind of content you need to help market you know, what you're doing with Zadara, or the baseline is your own services to your end customers. We've also do a lot of on-demand webinars, reports, and things like that. So kind of going back to my last slide, we view this as a key partnership, that we're in this together to help onboard you, grow your business, and make you successful. Because again, at the end of the day, we're successful when you're successful, and we have a whole partner portal set up to enable that, and we've got a partner team that works with you hand in hand to onboard and grow. So I wanted to mention that, and just to kind of a couple more slides just to wrap up. You know, some of the challenges I mentioned earlier in terms of growing the revenues without adding risk, and so what that means is it's an OpEx. You know, we have we refer to it as a floor, which is like the monthly commitment based on what you think you're going to want to be doing. But very reasonable floors that you commit to. So you can do that without adding, you know, making a big CapEx investment and putting in the colo. You can do it all through us. Again, you can still retain those customers so you don't lose them to the public cloud for the same reasons I mentioned earlier. You can add new services once you start with us. Like I said, you can start at a kind of a low footprint and grow from there if you want to. Therefore, you can compete now in a much more on-demand world today. You can scale globally, as I mentioned with the slide, you know, zero CapEx investment, all using OpEx. And we're going to be actually doing more on that side very, very soon, and in terms of accessing resources around the world, even through our provision portal. You'll see more from us very soon. And then, like I said, hey, we're in this together. We have a strong alignment with our partners, and again, we grow together. And so, as I said, very much part of our business model. So we want you guys to keep that in mind. And then just my last slide to wrap up. You know, thanks again for your time. It was great chatting with you today. Please reach out. Probably the best way is just do info@zadara.com, and we will route you and set up conversations depending on what you want to talk about. Of course, you could always access our website for more information. You know, you can sign up for a free trial. We got a ton of information out there, so hit that up. And then last but not least, you could always try me, sbohek@zadara.com. So thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. It was great chatting with you, and I'll turn it back over to Debbie. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. Excellent presentation on Zadara. I now want to introduce Scott Mann, who's the Director of North American Channels for Scale Computing. Scott, take it away.
You're muted.
Hi, Scott. Can you share your presentation and also unmute your line, please?
I think he just logged out. He's going to try to log back in and see if he can get the audio to work.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, let's try this again. There we go. You can hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank
I'm
you.
good.
Awesome. Sorry, wouldn't let me unmute myself.
And then we just need to see your presentation.
Yeah, it should be coming up now.
Yes, it is. Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, folks. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Let's just make sure I got the right screen on there. I sure do.
Yeah.
So kick things off. My name's Scott Mann, as Debbie had mentioned. I'm the Director of North American Channel for Scale Computing. And today we're going to be talking about the future of infrastructure management for MSPs. I think in the infrastructure world, there's been a ton of advancements over the past decades. And the MSP market is becoming a very hot, fast-growing market. And more customers, especially in today's world, where IT is becoming a lot more is becoming required of their IT department. They're looking to managed service providers to outsource some of that and offload some of the burden and the cost associated with it by leveraging kind of the economies of scale that managed service providers bring. But I think in today's world, there's really, you look at the top infrastructure vendors, there's not really much of a focus around managed service providers building a solution that's specifically catered towards it. a lot of the times it's an enterprise solution with a program that is an MSP program to try to fit the need. What we're here to talk to you today about is an MSP platform that is designed specifically to address the challenges that you face within your business, as well as your customers face within theirs. And let's start things off by what are those challenges that we see. So what keeps your customers up at night? I think the number one thing is downtime. Downtime can be within systems and employees, and a lot of the reason that any organization is going to rely on a managed service provider, is going to look to a managed service provider, is to offload some of the burden, some of the risk associated with some of that downtime. They know that you are a professional, you're IT professional in that specific space. You can keep their infrastructure up and running and make sure that if something does happen, get their employees up and running, whether it be on a secondary site, a private cloud or a public cloud, whatever that may be. And then there kind of becomes that, in the managed service world, it's not the same as an enterprise infrastructure where they've got a massive data center within the four walls of a co-location. Sometimes their infrastructure is running, under the desk or in a closet at the retail location, for instance, that they may be running at. And there's really nobody on site there that can fix anything. So anything that does go down, it's on you as a managed service provider to get those things up and running as quickly as possible. And there's kind of a balance, whether the company's 20 employees, 50 employees, 100, thousands of employees, there's the balance of how much downtime are we willing to accept versus how much cost are we willing to pay to eliminate that downtime. And one of the things that we can help address is eliminating that downtime and taking a lot of that financial burden off of you with a solution that fits the price point that these customers can entertain, without having to increase their costs, add more functionality, add more redundancy, add more revenue streams for you to be able to sell into these customers and build your solution upon. And then what keeps you up at night? And I'm sure everybody on this call, some of these things probably resonate with all of you. If not one, probably all of them do. But growth, scalability, security, and from a growth perspective, it's how do I grow into new customers? How do I acquire new customers? Or how do I grow within existing customers? How do I access new revenue streams within those existing customers? Increase my solution to bring into new technologies that my customers may already have deployed or maybe thinking of deploying. And how do I scale my own operations? Whether that be your labor force, do I need to hire new people to manage these new customers, acquire new customers? Do I need to hire new people to manage these new systems? And do I need to buy a new system to be able to manage? If you're doing some sort of a hosting platform, does my current system allow me to scale into that? Or is it going to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars up front that I'm not going to see a return on for 18 months? Those are some challenges and some things to think through that I think we can very much help address here. And then on the security front, all of that downtime and that your customer expects from you, they're not necessarily as concerned about how you get it done. They're just concerned that you do get it done and you meet those SLAs that you promised to them. So for you, it's mitigating that financial risk, but also you want to make sure that these customers don't go down. But in the instance that they do go down, you want to have whatever it may be. If it's some ransomware attack, if it is a site failure, if it's data corruption, you need to be able to deliver a positive customer experience when you get them back up and running, something that they wouldn't see from any of your competitors that are down the street from you trying to get into that exact same customer. And these are some of the key things, some of the key areas that our platform is able to help address for you, whether it be all of them that you're concerned about or just one of them. Any single one of them, I think, is worth having a follow-up conversation around after this. So what is the platform itself? HC3 is the platform, and it's an all-in-one monthly infrastructure platform. So these right here, you kind of see are the 4 pillars, the 4 areas that we focus on. And the way I think about it is when we're talking about scalability, having a platform like this, they're like Lego blocks that you grow into, Lego blocks that create the foundation for your offering to your customers. And whether it be you need all of these, whether you need one, you start out in one area, the advantage of having a platform is that we're eliminating that vendor fatigue that you get. We're eliminating having to manage all of these different vendors in order to give a solution like this. We're bringing together our hardware with other ecosystem alliances into a single platform that makes it one single number to call. And every single solution that we come out with, we price it to be more competitive than the solutions that are out there today. So we start in the top left, the premium on-premises appliances. Today, you're probably selling some sort of, like, depending on the size of the customer, it's likely a single server, maybe two servers in a SAN, maybe even larger than that. We have the premium solution that we can offer, replace that single server with more of a redundant solution, and we'll dive into that use case in the next slide. And then it's getting into hosting infrastructure. You know, a lot of our partners at first always told us, no, we're not going to host anything. We want to put it in the cloud. And then when you see the scalability and the ease of use with a solution like ours, it becomes a potential revenue stream that, instead of paying for somebody else's cloud and giving them the economies of scale and giving them the revenue associated with it, maybe it makes sense to look at hosting that stuff yourself, building out that revenue stream for yourself. And that's a stage that you can get up into. And the difference being, you're not paying this huge CapEx solution up front. With the monthly structure of our program, you're able to be cash flow positive out of the gate. You're able to be in the black out of the gate, and you're not going to be waiting 18 months to see any return on your investment into a business model like this. And then you talk about the data and the security around the data. And that's wherever the data is moving, we got to look at making sure that we have some sort of a local backup, hybrid cloud solution, and disaster recovery all incorporated into this single solution, which, while we're leveraging other third-party technology along with some built in under the hood of ours, which I'll get into the specifics of that on the next couple slides as well, being able to have that all integrated under one single vendor, the main thing that this is going to do, aside from ease of doing business and ease of manageability from your perspective, is substantially reduce the cost for you. And we'll get into some of those costing exercises as well. And then on the bottom left, it's going beyond just the infrastructure. It's going beyond just talking about what are they doing for servers, what are they doing for storage, virtualization, backup, disaster recovery, and thinking, what other technologies can I expand into to grow my business? Why, I don't necessarily need to acquire 10x the customers if I can acquire 2x the revenue from my existing customers on technologies that they're probably already using today, but it didn't fit into my existing solution offering. And there's things like VDI has become a very popular one, application hosting, things like that, as well as video surveillance. Video surveillance and other IoT type technologies that are coming in, they're not just enterprise solutions anymore. And being able to bring all of those solutions together into a single platform gives you an opportunity to grow, expand those revenues, and scale without that upfront cost associated with a traditional infrastructure deployment. So looking under the hood at the actual technology, this right here is the HC3 platform. On the right side, you see that's some of our ecosystem partnerships. So that's basically on the back end and the solution that you're going to be deploying if you're doing the backup, VDI, video, and that's all going to be offered through us. So you have that one vendor to come to and not have to source all of these different vendors. And we'll even show you the cost comparison on any other solutions that we have out there. And if you look at the very left side there, something like the backup appliances, where that gets really interesting is compare that to the existing backup solutions that you'd be selling today. We're going to be 25 to 40% less. But what that does is it gives you an opportunity as well to scale into that premium on-prem appliances for the customer. And then once you get a couple of those premium on-prem customers deployed, then you get into the hosting platforms. And then that becomes something where you can offer some sort of a hosting infrastructure, while the revenue that you're making off of these on-prem appliances is more than justifying the expense of the hosting platform and is creating these new revenue streams and substantial profitability for you. So typically what we see in a deployment is this single server type model, especially on the smaller size of your customers. If it's 20, 25, 50 type, 50 seats, they're going to be running maybe 4 to 6 VMs, a single server, some sort of local backup. The reason that you're running local backup is because that single server only has maybe drive redundancy, but you don't have a 3-2-1 infrastructure of redundancy there. So you need to have some sort of local redundancy, which is going to be that local backup. And then you're going to have everything probably replicated off-site to secondary cloud. What our solution allows you to do is take the same price point that you're offering to meet these exact needs of the customer. We can bring that down into a local cluster. So with the same amount of resources, the same price point, we've now increased resiliency for them. We've offered this on a monthly price point. We're basically bringing a single management console for all the customers that you have, whether it be one customer, 10 customers, hundreds of customers across the state or the country, can manage it all under one single console and manage it all remotely, which is very important as well. And consolidate the vendors within those other technologies that you're bringing in. Take that to the next step, and we go from that one single customer, and where are we offering more than just that single server replacement? We've got on the left here, you see our on-premise appliance with those other applications, the video, the backup, the VDI. You've got your local backup appliance. That's also a great way to get in the door first, with just a local backup appliance, and then scale up into an on-premise full solution for them, and have that replicating off-site, essentially managed within our Nucleus portal, which is the portal that you'll manage all your customers from. And you can replicate to the cloud, or you can replicate to a hosted data center. And that's where really the excitement is around all of this. We will typically run a TCO analysis for our customers, or an ROI summary for our customers, where we're going to show them what does it look like for that single server replacement. Let's compare costs side by side. Fantastic. We'll show them what that cost looks like for this solution, and it'll be comparable, right in line with what you'd be currently deploying, with all that added functionality and resiliency, data protection. And then what does it look like to do a hosted data center, and how many customers do I need replicating back to that hosted data center to be able to justify the cost of it? And you'll be amazed that it's typically 2 or 3 of these clusters before you're break even on this cluster. So deploy this out to 3 customers, get the cost to justify that hosted data center, and then let's grow together within this. And what we do from a programmatic perspective, we're set on helping our MSPs grow, very similar to what Zadar said on the last one. But our marketing efforts are around, how do we help fill up your cluster? How do we help get you more managed service customers onto that cluster? And in the infrastructure world, I think that's a very unique offering. We don't typically, usually when we do that with any of our partners, they're pretty blown away that we're even offering something to that nature. But we want you to grow. We want you to be able, because as you're growing, we're growing. So it's success together. Now, if any of this was of any interest, the getting started, what do I do next? First thing to do, go to our partner portal, partners.scalecomputing.com. If you're interested, you can become a partner, there's the Become a Partner button on the bottom there. There's no minimum requirements. There's no quota expectations that we put on our partners. Some of our partners live in 6 months. They're doing more of the training. They're getting everything up to speed. Other partners are ready to go today, and they've got a perfect opportunity, and we're working deals out of the gate with them. Any of those instances are perfectly fine. Get into the portal though, go check out some of the training that we have, and all the great resources that we have from a marketing perspective to start on this journey together. And then once you get engaged with the team and we've got everything up and running, we've got our business plan in place, it's getting one of these clusters in your hands, seeing what it can actually do, and getting it to one of your customers so that you can then deploy that and start making a lot of money together. And with that, appreciate everybody's time. I think I'm right up on time here, if I'm not mistaken. I'm maybe a minute over. If you have any general questions, channel@scalecomputing.com. Otherwise, feel free to email me as well, sman with 2 N's @scalecomputing.com.
Perfect. Thanks, Scott. Tremendous presentation by Scott Mann from Scale Computing. Next, we have Gul Pariani, who's the Director of Channels East at Morpheus. Gul, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I hope everyone can see my screen now, so as I'm sharing.
Absolutely. I love the background, by the way.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to give Carlene and Hope credit for that one. They're magicians in my mind. So as we just jump right in here. So first, just going to talk quickly about what we see in the marketplace around, I'll call it the hybrid cloud journey. And And as we hear from our MSP customers themselves and their customers, one of the things, if you think about this young lady up in the top left here, as a consumer, she is a line of business, a developer, end user, someone that wants infrastructure. And actually, when she wants to do her job, she actually wants her application stack. So that could be, a single thing, an instance in a private or public cloud someplace. It could be a multi-tier application with all of her components, a database with the database installed, with data loaded into it, but also wrapping all of those best practices for that app stack around it as well. And that includes State 2 Ops technologies, specifically logging, monitoring, data protection, all of that. And the challenge out there for a lot of MSPs we see is when that person is saying, I want this, it takes a long time to deliver that set of services back. And the big challenge around that, of course, is for MSPs that are delivering infrastructure as a service themselves, as an example, that delay could be the difference between being competitive and not, being innovative and not. So what I would describe that as is complexity kills our ability to go fast. It kills our ability to serve our customers the best we can. So when we think about how does Morpheus solve that, I'm going to bring it down to really three things, and then describe those sort of vanilla terms in a little more depth here. But we want to take a unified view of the world, and actually a unified control plane across everything you could want to offer a customer from a services perspective. We want to make that agnostic. Let's adopt the technologies you're using today, as opposed to saying, if you're going to bring Morpheus in, here's the 10 things you need to bring in with it to be effective. We don't care. I want to make this agnostic today. If you're using a mix of public and private cloud, fantastic. We have about 20 to 25 options out there. We support all the major public clouds and, of course, all the major hypervisors and a lot of other little offshoots as well. But let's take an agnostic approach to that and really take advantage of the technology decisions you've already made, take advantage of that technical debt. And, of course, make this easy and agile to support. We want you to be able to really get value very quickly. I'll summarize that with really one phrase, and it's this phrase right in the middle of this top line, self-service. Right? So how do we now take anything you may be doing and cloudify it? So you get that Amazon.com-like experience, and that's really what we want to do. So at our core, that's how we grew up. We grew up in that space of being able to serve developers, end users, their IT services in a completely automated self-service fashion. So the beauty of that, again, is see a screenshot here. We don't have time for a real demo today, but happy to show you at any time. If you look at those tiles, those buttons, I call that the easy button interface. Give them a way where they can just say, I need my whole app stack, push a button, and order it just like they were purchasing something on Amazon, and have it delivered in a completely automated, very agile, very fast fashion. The other piece about that is not only do we have this GUI, and I find myself spending a ton of time in the GUI, but we can also serve via a command line or API as well. So we want to work how your users work. And we know most engineers tend to want fingers on keyboards, right? So let's make it easy for them to do that and harness the full power of our product through our CLI API as well. To provide that self-service experience, there's a few things we need to do. One of them is bring your clouds to Morpheus. So connect Morpheus to the things you're doing today, whether it's a public cloud subscription, whether it's your on-premises VMware or Nutanix footprint. We support, like I said, more than a handful of hypervisors. We support native Acropolis on Nutanix, as well as, of course, mentioned VMware, Hyper-V, OpenStack, KVM. The list goes on and on. But clouds mean something to you. And maybe you're doing VMs as a service. Maybe you're doing containers as a service. A cloud means something to you. That's fantastic. We want to give you the ability to harness that in a very easy way in Morpheus. So bring your clouds. Let us manage those clouds. That's a portion of what we do to bring that self-service experience to life. But for me, one of my favorite parts of our product is governance. I come from an IT ops background, and if you told me you're going to bring self-service into my environment and have them have my end users, developers as an example, or lines of business, maybe not so technical people, mucking with my infrastructure tools, I would probably have quit my job. So at the end of the day, governance in Morpheus gives you role-based access control as well as a true multi-tenancy model. We actually grew from the ground up model. And our lifecycle management engine, as well as our best practice policy engine, to create swim lanes. So create those guardrails around your users, let them go run, let them do the things they need to do and do them very fast. Prevent them from doing the things you don't want them to do. Maybe you don't want them to see any infrastructure. They can see the apps they've provisioned. They can provision new apps out of the service catalog you provide to them, but they can't go in and mess with your cloud account or your on-premises hypervisor or infrastructure. We absolutely have that capability. The other thing is, again, leverage those components in your environment today, like your identity management systems, whether it's SAML compliant, Active Directory, but leverage what you have today to make this happen. And then, again, all of this wouldn't be so magical if we weren't a complete automation engine underneath that self-service initiative. So automate everything. And today, if it's just, I want customers to push a button and a VM pops out the other side, fantastic, but we want you to take that journey to provide what services make sense. If your customers want to start going down the infrastructure as code path, be there to help them with that. We give you the hooks, all of the components you need to, again, bring your tool sets together to provide the service to them that they're looking for. And that includes things like tying into configuration management tools like Ansible, et cetera. And then optimize. So it's very common that our customers, especially our MSPs, say, you know, we've been doing this sort of Wild West for a while. We'd love to be able to get our arms around what's out there, just to see what's out there, to see where we have our own sprawl as an example, but to get some data before you start taking this journey with Morpheus. And we have the ability to do brownfield discovery of the footprint you have out there today, whether it's a private cloud or public cloud, give you some quick data about where do you have inefficiencies, where can we optimize that environment and get better. And of course, we can use our automation engine to remediate that. Single button push to say, hey, I've got something out there that's oversized and it's much bigger than it needs to be. It costs me a whole lot more than it needs to be. I can push a button and remediate that problem. So we want to give you that data as well as a reporting framework and an invoicing framework. So now you can start actually providing that cost reporting back to your business as an MSP and back to the customer. We are a complete automation framework for applications from cradle to grave. And the beauty of that really is this. Today, if your customers interface with you through ServiceNow as an example, I want to make that easy. We have a codeless integration to ServiceNow. And what that really means for you is I want to provide value quickly. So out of the box today, if you've got ServiceNow stood up and you have, for instance, a ton of approval policies already set up in ServiceNow, let's use those. If you want to bring approvals to Morpheus, we can actually connect to ServiceNow. Give me a username and password and point me at the ServiceNow host. And it really is that simple for us to now go out there and start harnessing those approvals that you've already built out in ServiceNow. Again, let's take advantage of that work and not build this car from the ground up again. But again, all of those other phases of that service delivery lifecycle, let's integrate with what you have. And maybe today, I'll take a quick example. Maybe today you're doing some automation, and maybe you're doing that with scripts as an example. A lot of our MSP customers have done some in-house automation projects, just Python scripting or PowerShell scripting or JavaScript, whatever it may be, and they're trying to standardize on a strategy moving forward. Fantastic. We can support that old technical debt. We can run Python scripts as an example, or PowerShell scripts. Actually, we support about 8 programming languages. So take your pick, but we can use that technical debt you have today. And maybe as you move into the future, you're saying to yourself, we'd love to be standardized on Ansible as we move into the future, but we have all of this work that we can't just give it up, and we can't just rewrite it all in Ansible today. We don't have that kind of time or money. Fantastic. As you bring your Ansible playbook repository up to snuff, use all that technical debt. We can use it, and we can still run those Ansible playbooks as they go live in your environment. So again, let's make this fast. Let's make it easy to deploy. For most of our customers, this is a deployment. It is an install on a Linux operating system. And for most customers, it's a couple hours worth of work to actually get the product stood up. We can stand it up in typical hypervisors. We can set it up in the cloud of your choice. But again, it's up to you on what works for your business model. Take advantage of that technical debt to make this go fast. So again, I don't expect when our MSP customers bring Morpheus in to say this is a 2-year project. I don't see that at all. I expect customers to be able to actually start getting value out of the technology in the first month they work with us. I expect them to be taking that journey in the first quarter, maybe 2 quarters, to get better than they are today. But also eliminate that fear of lock-in, right? The beautiful part about robust automation is it gives you the ability now to, for one, keep your IP safe, put everything down in black and white. Under the hood, we're doing infrastructure as code as an example. So let's templatize those services you're delivering to your end users and actually have them down in black and white. The other piece, again, is we're taking an agnostic approach to all of this. So the beautiful part about that is, again, I don't really care what technologies you're using. We plug into about 100 of them, but we also have that robust automation engine. We can integrate with almost anything on the planet. It just depends on what the business process you're trying to now offer to your customers is, and then how do we replicate that with the technologies you have today. And that's the beauty of what we do. And take advantage of what you've done today. Let's look at what your future is, get you there, but do this all in a way where we can provide rapid value. Next step, we'd love to give you a deeper dive, including a demo of the product. Our product shows really well. It's something you'd love to see, I'm sure. Please reach out to Emily Kelly. Emily can get either your local Ingram rep or Emily Kelly. They can get that set up for you. If the channel team here at Morpheus can be of any help, we're always standing by to help. And we've got a minute or 2 left here. If there are questions in chat, I'm happy to answer them.
Again, if you guys have any questions, please address them in the chat. And we'll be sending these out at the conclusion of the event. So it looks like that wraps it up in terms of our vendor presentations. I greatly appreciate and want to thank all of you for joining us today. Thank our vendors for doing such an outstanding job presenting. We realize your time is valuable, and we hope that this MSP Summit enables you to learn more about new vendor solutions that will help you become more competitive and increase sales. Our marketing department will be sending out the data sheets on each of these vendors, as well as the recording and any questions that were not addressed during the event. Also, we'll be sending a quick survey. We'd like you to complete that as we truly value your feedback. And I encourage each of you attending this MSP Summit to engage with your Ingram account executive or your EBG sales executive to learn more about what emerging business group vendors can do to help you differentiate your business from your competition. Melissa Hill would like to just, while we're calculating that, would like to give a 1-minute presentation about the MSP Academy with Trend Micro. Melissa, are you on board? Perfect.
Hi. Hi, everybody. My name is Melissa Hill. I'm a solutions executive at Ingram Micro. I'm dedicated to Trend Micro. And today I'm really excited to talk to you about Trend Micro's brand new MSP Academy. So Trend Micro's been in the MSP space for many years. And throughout that time period, they've heard a ton of feedback from MSP partners like yourself, talking about different challenges, whether it be just not being so satisfied with the profitability, lacking resources, getting too caught up in the day-to-day operations, or maybe they just need help finding more ideal prospects. So Trend Micro has taken these pain points and they put together an excellent curriculum focusing on a cybersecurity masterclass, social selling bootcamp, as well as Trend Micro solutions. But you do not need to be a Trend Micro MSP partner to take advantage of it. There's lots of great material on there that I highly recommend for any size MSP. You can find more information on this on Trend Micro's website. You can email me. I'm Melissa Hill. So my email is melissa.hill@ingrammicro. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Melissa. And thank you everyone for joining us. Again, we'll be sending out the gift cards for the first, second, and third place winners. Appreciate all of you joining us today. And our goal is to continue to have these MSP summits so that our partners can learn more and more how to be competitive and be profitable in 2021. Have a great day. And thank you for joining us.